Are we live? Yep. Oh, awesome. Why is Aquas Park on there? Have you got the song on or not? We didn't even do a plug for the show today. Oops. Are we on?
No, that's on.
Hello. Australian Anti-Ice Campaign here, crossing live. We're waiting for a few more people to join.
No, it's a bit late for music, isn't it?
Okay, awesome. Just waiting for a couple more people to join, and I can see we've got a few people coming online. Guys, welcome to another segment of Let's Talk About Ice, here crossing live from the Gold Coast to Adelaide, actually. So we before we actually get started on the show, just wanted to do a couple of, what do you call, house cleaning? Is that what you call house cleaning? Oh, not that I want to do any. But just wanted to say a big shout out and a big thank you to the Lions Club at Upper Coomera, who had us there and having a chat about our programs and what we do, and we're looking forward to working with them to help roll out the school education program in Upper Coomera area. So we're really, really excited about that. As you know, Michael Crandon is the MP for that area, and he's one of our ambassadors, and we're really, really excited to go and educate in the schools there and protect the kids about this drug that's destroying lives out there, that we're talking about, methamphetamine. We call it ice. So we're really looking forward to working with them, with the Upper Coomera Lions Club, to help roll out the programs. We've also have more Rotaries up in Far North Queensland coming on board to help their community in their local area and help us educate more youth against the dangers of the drug ice. So big shout out to you guys. Thank you for coming on board. Just a couple of things before I introduce our amazing guest. You're probably wondering what I'm doing with a microphone. I think I was probably born with one stuck to my hand because I sing all the time. But we've had our boom that is not here today, so I've had to use the microphone, and I feel very official and like I need to interview somebody next to me. But the person we're going to be talking to tonight, we're crossing over. What are you doing? Well, you have to come and do that little dance over here, please, Leanne. Leanne's doing a little dance with the Neo caps and her Neo t-shirt. Can't see you yet. She's doing a little dance, and she looks like Dickeny. If anybody's that old to remember that show. And there's, you can't see you. You got to come closer. Oh. You got to walk past like this, bopping. Very serious matter that we're talking about, but sometimes we have to laugh, guys, because it does get a bit heavy, the subject that we're talking about. Thanks, Leanne. Oh, great. Now I get to look like Dickeny. I don't want to mess my hair, so sorry, a bit vain today. Guys, before we get started, I want to welcome Gardner Car Yard. And went to visit Gardner. You probably saw a little bit of a video on our Facebook, and they are coming on board to help support what we do. So raising awareness and educating youth against the dangers of ice. And they're going to be for the month of June and July. They're going to, for every car that they sell, they're going to be donating some money towards our program, so that we can educate youth in their community about the dangers of ice. So that's on the Gold Coast in Burleigh. If you are looking at buying a car, I want you to really consider going checking out their cars. They're awesome cars. I'll be doing a bit of live streaming from there over the next few weeks, so keep an eye out. Gardner Cars. Thank you guys for joining us, and hope you're watching tonight. We've popped your logo up, and we really appreciate your support, because together we can achieve more. So also thank you to Grilled in Benoa Gardens, and they are coming on board. That's on Ashmore Road. Grilled in Benoa Gardens. They for the month of June, if you're hungry and you need to eat a burger, get down to Grilled. Okay, if you're in that area in Benoa Gardens, Ashmore Road, pop down to Grilled for lunch, grab a little cap and put it into AAIC's container, because, we really need the community support to help educate the kids in Ashmore area against the dangers of ice from lived experience. Yeah, so that's what we do, guys. If you don't know what we do, please check out our webpage. It's www.australianantiicecampaign.org.au. You can have a look at the media page there. It shows what we do in the schools. It explains our schools program. We've got testimonies from teachers and principals and people who have been impacted by our program. So if you don't know what we do, please go there and have a look. That's just one of the things that we do. We also buddy people that are in addiction and they want to create a pathway out into recovery. So we walk with them, we do a brief intervention, and we help them find the suitable rehab or the suitable program to help them, get their life back. So that's the other thing that we do. And we also link up with family support services all around Australia, and we have our own family support services. So if you are somebody that needs some support and you're struggling with a loved one and that's in addiction, you please contact us. That's what we do. We want to help. We can give you the, the perspective of somebody that's been in addiction. That's going to fall. That's been in addiction, so you can understand what's going on in here in the melon of your loved one. And when you have a better understanding, you can help them better. So if you are that person, please contact us. Our number here is 1-800 No to ICE. So that's 1-800-NOTOICE. And we'd love to help you. We've got a care team waiting for your calls, or private message us if you're on Facebook. Don't forget our Neo gear, guys, and if you want to look cool in the gym, and hold on, I've got to fix it. See, I'm going to mess my hair now, Leanne. And these are our Neo caps. Not even once is the message, guys, or you can grab a t-shirt. And we do have our Neo t-shirts with aren't so loud as this one saying ice with no ice. So we have our Neo t-shirts with a little emblem on the side there, and the big one at the back. Awesome. Thanks to Eagle Trailers and Campers, and they have supported this cause, and they have, invested into the Neo product, and we have mugs, and we just head over to our shop if you want to help. So, we look forward to supplying you with your Neo product. Make sure you get them. And I think that's all that I've got to work through today. We have a really amazing guy who, like the work that he does today, from where he's come from, is quite a far, vast difference. So from where he came from to what he does now, and I'm quite blown away that I can't even pronounce the name of the rehab. I'm going to get him to do it in a minute, but I will give it a shot. Peter works in a rehab in Adelaide. It is an Aboriginal rehab, but it also caters for anyone. And I'm going to give this a shot, Peter, and I'll introduce you in a second. The name is, let me say this, Lakalimjan Tambutin Wow. Is that correct, Peter? How does it go?
It's a tongue twister. It's Lukalingeri Tumbutin Wow. Which means place of healing.
Wow, place of healing. That's fantastic. What a mouthful. But I also know that the work that you do is a handful, because, as yourself, I've been there also, and, it's a lengthy process into recovery from ice addiction. So welcome on the show, everybody. Say hello to Peter Nissen with an E-N, like the car, Brum Brum Nissan, but with an E-N. Hi, Peter, and welcome to the show. And thank you for agreeing to share tonight. I know it's a big deal. Everybody that comes on the show, you have to dig deep. You have to go back into the memory of, where you've come from. And, it's not that easy sometimes to share where you've walked and to feel some of those emotions. So I really honour you and for wanting to do this, and so that other people out there can learn from your experience.
Thanks very much. Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So we didn't I don't think we got to meet last time I was in Adelaide, but but I have, I've heard your name around in the office, and they're saying, Peter's doing some great work with people in addiction, and there's this awesome rehab there that's taking place, and that's working there, and they're working with a lot of people, and we're sending people your way, I believe. So to get a bit of an idea, do you want to maybe start with the rehab? What kind of facility are you working in?
It's run by the Aboriginal Sobriety Group of South Australia, and they have about 5 different facilities around South Australia. The one I'm working at is situated near Murray Bridge, and there's a male and a female rehab, which is separated, of course, for obvious reasons. We have up to about 10 clients at a time there, and they're recovering from different addictions, whether it be drug or alcohol. So, like lots of them have had past criminal convictions and everything else, so they've been inside and experienced hard times behind bars, because that's what drug and alcohol addiction can lead to, like in extreme cases.
Yeah. So tell me something, Peter. How did you get to start working there?
Was amazing, actually. Like, it was through my fiance's friend, her husband, who is a manager there in Adelaide on the MAP bus. My miss just started talking to his missus one day and said, "What does your husband do for a job?" And she told him he works for the Aboriginal Sobriety Group. And she said that I could well be interested in a job like that. So we just got introduced and took it from there.
Can you explain to us and the viewers, what's the Adelaide MAP bus? Not really sure what that is.
MAP stands for Mobile Assistance Patrol. It's a bus to get people home from the CBD in the city in Adelaide to wherever they live, to a safe environment that are under the influence of drugs and alcohol. Predominantly Aboriginal people, but anybody can catch it.
That's amazing. Is that a government initiative, or is there an organisation that looks after that?
It's the Aboriginal Sobriety Group who runs it. They get funding from Dharma. I'm not too sure about them, but they're something to do with the administration who runs it, like the Drug and Alcohol Organisation of South Australia. So, yeah, but it's an NGO, it's a non-government organisation. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I wish we had that here in Queensland. It's the first time I've heard of that, so that's brilliant that it can help people that are, might be under the influence and not able to be in a safe place, and that they can get a lift home without hurting themselves or anybody else along the way. Hey, that's wonderful.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Peter, I understand that, and correct me if I'm wrong, you have your own lived experience, journey, I guess, that enticed you into working in this field and in this area. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Do you want to share a little bit about your journey? How did what was your drug of choice, and when did that journey start?
Yeah. Well, I'll first start by saying that I had a good upbringing. I had good parents. My old man was a World War II veteran, so my hat off to all the diggers that have served Australia over the years. Yeah. I was an only child too, so that was difficult, but I made a lot of friends, like, from a young age, so that sort of substituted as my brothers and sisters that I didn't have. But yeah, I first started participating in drugs when I was 12 years old. Went to a blue light disco back in the 80s, and a mate's elder sister who was going to uni like gave us a bag of marijuana, so we had a few cones and went to this blue light disco, and yeah, that basically started my drug partaking, I suppose. Like, I liked the effect of getting stoned, so I started smoking marijuana pretty regularly from about the age of 12, and then I started consuming alcohol at the age
Can
of
I just stop you there
13.
for a minute? Can I just ask you
Sure.
something, Peter? Um, did your parents tell you not to do drugs?
Because of the age difference between my parents and me, like my parents had me in their late 40s. They didn't really know about the drug scene that much. But they did try and give me advice, not to get into bad things and a bad way of life and like hang around bad people, basically.
Mhm.
Like, not
So
that people are bad, but those people that are doing that can lead you down the garden path to deeper and darker ways, if you know what I mean.
yeah, for sure. So you kind of you had an idea that what you were doing, was either against the law or against it was something wrong that you were picking up some drugs, or did you just not think about it really?
Um, I knew that at my age I shouldn't really be doing that sort of thing. Like, at 12 years old, I shouldn't be smoking dope. I knew that it was a drug and it altered your state of consciousness and got you stoned and wasted, and that's what I wanted really at the
Yeah.
time. So I did have a conscience about it, but I didn't care at the time.
Yeah, I hear you. So then that led to, within the next couple of years, you started drinking. Was that just like, occasional drinking, or was that like binge drinking, or did you start drinking heavily straight away?
Yeah, the first time I drank, I got drunk, and pretty much after that, because of the people I was associating with, I started regularly drinking at about the age of 13, 14 years old. Yeah.
Wow. And I guess your mates and stuff were all drinking with you and going out, or doing it just at school, or how did that look?
We
Can you
were,
paint a picture for us? Because I just want to kind of, you wouldn't have been taking it home. Your parents would have, you know, probably not allowed that. So how did it look? What was that scene?
um, both my parents like used to drink alcohol, but they weren't drunks. But they used to like have their beer and their wine and that every night. But
Yep.
yeah, basically I just started associating with mates who shared a common interest, and yeah, we used to meet up after school or whatever and have a six pack or have a bottle of bourbon or whatever we could get our hands on, really. And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
weekends we'd go out, and that was the start of our sort of partying career. So
yeah.
yeah,
So what
life
did
was
that
a big
partying
party.
career look like? Like, you at 14, 15, 16, and, intoxicated, you probably get yourself into a little bit of trouble, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, under the influence, I committed quite a few crimes. I never committed a crime when I was sober. But yeah, on drugs and alcohol, I committed quite a few crimes over the years, which I'm not proud of. But yeah, we used to just get hammered, and that's it. We used to run amok, basically.
Yeah. And how long did that go on for, the drinking and a bit of marijuana? Did it escalate into other drugs straight away, or?
Um, I first had my first taste of speed, what it was called back then, at the age of 15. I
Wow.
intravenously took some speed, and
So you shot that
after
up in a
that,
needle.
yeah, yeah.
Can you please tell me what was the thought process behind that for you? I'm just trying to get, like, so that people out there understand how a kid at 15 can say okay to this. Like, what were you thinking, and who offered it to you? Was it somebody close? Was it?
Me and a mate who have been friends since we were 14, 15 years old. We did it together with another older fella who was probably 4 years older than us. Like, he scored it for us, and he actually administered it for us too. So we couldn't actually do it ourselves, but he did it for us.
So what were you thinking at that time, though, when that was offered to you and you decided to say yes?
I was a bit hesitant, especially putting a needle in my arm and shooting up a drug, but yeah, since they were there and they were doing it, I thought, I might as well get on board and be one of the lads, one of the boys, and
Yep.
take it as it comes. So I didn't really give it much consideration at all.
Yeah, yeah. And that's usually the case. We find, we do some work with youth in the youth justice system, and, they don't really think much about it. They just go, oh, everyone else is doing something, and, they look all right from the outside, and, you just want to fit in, you just want to be one of the guys, and it's no big deal, and until it is, and that's what we're trying to raise awareness with AAIC. We go into schools and we raise awareness from lived experience, because what we think is no big deal at the time, takes a lot of lives, and it strips a lot from us who decide to walk down that path, including health and other, and everything, memory and all kinds of issues that come from, particularly from ice addiction, but all addiction has its own consequence. If you decide to walk down, marijuana, long-term use of marijuana causes, you have schizophrenia. You can have schizophrenia from that. Alcohol has its own side, list of consequences associated with that. And I think, with given like your parents, would have drink in the house and whatever, it's easy for, for youth to look and say, it's no big deal. It's like my parents used to smoke, so I thought, well, it's no big deal. They do it. I want to be big too, and I'm going to have smoke cigarettes too. So, you don't look at it like something that, for what it really is, that it's damaging and destroying you.
Definitely, yep, for sure. You're too
So,
young and naive. Well, I was too young and naive at that time of age to really evaluate what it was doing long term.
Peter, can I ask you if you could go back to that time when you decided to start shooting up speed or using drugs or alcohol as well? If you could go back to that time and you had a chance to face yourself and tell yourself anything regarding what was coming ahead, what would that be? Do you think you would have still gone down that path? Do you think you would have,
If I knew what I know now, back then I would definitely have steered clear of it 100%. I would
Yeah.
never have gone down that path at all.
Yeah, and we hear,
No.
people that go down that path in addiction say the same thing. I wish I'd have known. I wish everybody knows you don't do drugs. Don't be stupid. Like it's no brainer, right? But we do it anyway because we don't really think it's going to happen to us. We don't really think that, it's that bad because everybody does something, and it's not like a big deal. But it is. You don't realize it until you're in that space. The big deal that it is.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, for sure.
can you tell me what happened after that? So you started injecting speed, and you were 15. Is that right?
Yeah, 15 I started, yeah.
Yeah. So how long? What happened from there? How fast did things escalate? Did you use any other drugs? Did you get in trouble
Yeah,
with the law?
yeah. Used every drug basically. Like, I had heroin a few times, magic mushrooms, LSD, ecstasy, whatever we could get really. But my drug of choice was speed, like meth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
How long did you did you go through this binge? Because it is a binge. You were
yeah,
like trying all these drugs, and you know, I'm interested in, like, one, finding out how you hid this from your parents, and from people around you, and if you did hide it, and what you were thinking, please, Peter, if you can just share a little bit more in depth about.
Yeah. Mum and Dad did have a sort of inkling that something wasn't right with me, but I handled it pretty well most of the time. Like, you know, I'd come home smashed like on the grog, but back then personally, I could drink a lot of alcohol and take speed and stay up for a few days on end, but nowadays that'd kill me. But yeah, I did it up until I was 27 years old. So from 15 to 27, that's when I basically gave up the gear.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, I did a bad crime and I was looking at doing 4 years prison. I got put in the Adelaide Remand Centre and had a taste of what it was like to be incarcerated. But fortunately, I got off with a suspended sentence and a good behaviour bond. I don't think you would get off these days because of the way things are with the judiciary system, especially with the crime I committed. But yeah, that was completely under the influence of both drugs and alcohol. Like, I'd been on a bender for about 3 days and didn't really have a clue what I was doing. I was blacked out, to tell you the truth.
Yep. Do you have, you would have lingering side effects from that, that have, that followed you from the use of drugs and alcohol physically?
Yeah, my health's suffering today. My heart's suffering a bit. Yeah, my health is not good. Like, I'm 49 and I'm suffering pretty bad from taking drugs and drinking alcohol for that long. Yeah.
So you didn't end up going to jail, luckily. Is that when you made the decision to clean up, when you got like so close to going to jail, or what changed? What changed for you?
It was a big wake-up call, especially when I was transported from the...
I'm losing reception.
Another fellow that had done something crazy, and he was facing doing 15 to 18 years because he'd done murder, and we just started talking about what he'd done. And he too, at the same time, was off his face on drugs and alcohol, and he stabbed the bloke at a party like multiple times and killed him, and can't even remember doing it. So,
wow.
Yeah, it was a bit of a wake-up call to me. And, you know, I've had quite a few mates that have been in prison for long sentences, and nowadays, like, who I know, but I'd had friends also who were incarcerated back in their late teens to early 20s, and, you know, they survived on the inside, but it's not a good career goal, if you know what I mean. You don't want to go there.
Definitely not, and it's not a life, worth living, sitting, locked up and not fulfilling your dreams, and doing something purposeful in life and making it count. We only get a short time on this earth, and spending it behind bars is not the ideal way to spend it, is it?
No, not whatsoever. Like, I know a couple of fellas that did murder under the influence, and they did a lot of time behind bars, but if they could turn back their lives now, they certainly would. Like, they did reform, and two of them became Christians inside when they hated Christianity on the inside. But workers used to come and, like, minister to them and just, share love with them and everything else. And they had a change in their heart. So they went from being murderers to being released after 15 and 25 years and becoming decent citizens that can understand people today and share a incredible life testimony,
Yep, Absolutely, and I do know what you're saying because we do some work in the prisons as well, quite a bit of work in the women's and men's prison here in Queensland, and we get people in there, saying, I want to come out, I want to help you guys. I can turn my life around, and really seeing that there is hope and that they can do it too, and that we're here as a family to, to work with them to help more people, so they find a purpose bigger than themselves, and all really they need is a little bit of love and saying, we believe in you, and you can turn your life around, you can change your choices, that you make. There's either negative or positive choices. You choose the negative, it's going to give you a lot of consequences that are negative. You choose the positive and you're going to get all these consequences. Either way, you're going to get consequences, but, choose the positive one because it's going to impact you in a positive way, and by giving back and giving to the community, what you've been through and what you've learnt along the way is, it's so rewarding to be able to warn the next person, warn the next youth, and really expose it and have an open conversation of where this life takes you to, because it's nothing but hell.
Absolutely. Yep. That's exactly right.
So do you guys now work with people in the prisons and that are coming out of the prisons, or do you help them while they're in the prisons, or how does the rehab work there?
Some of them have just exited from prison and come to rehab. Yeah. So they
That's
do
fantastic.
a 3-month course usually, and then after 3 months they graduate. So they go back out into the community and hopefully live a rewarding and fulfilling life and not go back to their old ways.
That's awesome. So do you give them support when they come out? Like, do they have like a plan once they come out of the rehab on, what they're going to do with their life? Because, the not fear, but the concern that I have is that they're going to go back into their old world and they don't really know how to handle that. How does that work?
Works through a multiple of ways, like when they're doing their rehab, their 3-month course up to graduation, like they're equipped with living skills and also put in contact with job providers, and also there's some organisations that help them to become qualified in different things. So it's sort of preparing them for when they step back out into the real world, so as they can stand on their own 2 feet and make a go of it. But there's also aftercare too, like they can always call the manager or the caseworker back and communicate with them, or their psychologist or whatever. So it's a multifaceted type of organisation that tries to equip them to the best of the ability they can.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. And so you got about 10, is it 10 people in the house at each time, or?
Up to 10, yeah.
Up to 10, yep, awesome. And you the one that you work in is in Murray Bridge, is that right? But there's four in total there in Adelaide?
Yeah, there's, if people go on to the Aboriginal Sobriety Group, they can see all the different facilities that are listed on the website. But I work at Murray Bridge and also in Adelaide on the mobile patrol, like picking up people under the influence and taking them home. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. I have a question to ask you, Peter. I'd like to know, so you lived from 12 on drugs, 15, alcohol, marijuana, alcohol, and then you went to the age of mid-20s or late 20s. And I hear you, you almost went to jail and you saw your friends in jail and that. Did something particular, what happened inside you that you said, did you go, that's it, I'm done, I don't want to do this anymore, I want to change my life? Or did you see somebody that you could role model off that did that? Or how did you come to that point of making that choice and sticking to it? Like, did you relapse? I just want to know a little bit more about what that transition looked like, so that the people at home can understand, what recovery is and what abstinence is. Because you can stop using a drug for a period, but that doesn't mean that you've stepped into recovery. So, what is it? How was that for you?
Well, I was also into the occult, so I was into a very dark religion at the time, like a lot of the way through my younger life. And I met a lot of full-on extreme people into that dark side throughout my journey. As I said, some of them were murderers, some of them were murdered, because that's just the way it rolls when you're like in that sort of an environment and sort of a lifestyle,
Yeah.
Like, I don't know whether I should say this on this interview or not,
Please
but one of my
be
one of my
open.
good mates, yeah, I had quite a few mates that were murdered. One of them in particular had petrol poured on him by a few blokes, and they set him on fire and burned him to death. That was back in the mid-90s.
Oh, my
Um,
goodness.
That really gave his older brother, who's my age, some bad psychological consequences over that. I
Yeah.
also had two mates shot dead by another bloke who was having a psychotic episode after a 3-day bender with him. He got out his gun and he shot them both. That was about 2 years ago in Adelaide. So I've got another... Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt. I speak to people because we work in the prisons, and we hear some really some stories like this that you're sharing. One particular guy that chopped his dad's head off, and it sounds like a joke. It sounds like, yeah, right, it's a bit far-fetched, and even some of the things you're saying. But this is what happens, guys. When ice takes your brain over, and you can't think for yourself anymore, and you are controlled. Your animal instincts take over. Your chemical balance is all out of whack. These are just some of the examples of what can happen, and what does happen out there. And I'm sure that the guys that you're talking about, your mates, and these guys really didn't think when they were 14 or young or started using drugs that that's who I want to be. That's what's going to happen. That I'm gonna go shooting people and or chopping people up or hurting people. You don't step into that world thinking, oh yeah, when I grow up and get older, or when I get a chance, I'm going to try some ice and I'm going to ruin my life and destroy other people's as well, maybe kill them, maybe end up in jail for the rest of my life. It's not planned like that. And it will happen to you. It does happen to normal people, and that's why our message is not even once. You can probably see it on my T-shirt. Not even once. It's not worth it. The price is massive. And these guys that you're talking about, Peter, I would imagine, even though they've been locked up and stuff, they got to live with that.
Yeah, especially the ones that have murdered, like taken other people's lives, like most people have a conscience at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, when they're not on the substance, they would, when your brain is operating, it would really be something that they've got to deal with and carry, and it's heartbreaking. I feel for them, because while under the influence, you're out of control, and it's just not worth it, having to live with that for the rest of your life.
No, not at all. Like, I can think of a good mate. This is the last example I'll give, but I can think of a good mate, and this wasn't ice, this was marijuana. Like, he had a chronic marijuana habit, like hydro marijuana, not bushweed, which is outdoor organic grown weed that was grown back in the old days, the hydro gear, which is very potent. He was smoking up to 200 cones a day, and he ended up getting borderline schizophrenia, and he ended up bashing his housemate to death with his bare hands and leaving him in the unit for 3 days till the cops come. And he's been in a home for the criminally insane for the last 20 plus years here in Adelaide.
Wow.
So
Wow, that's so. Thank you for sharing that, Peter, because that is so important. I actually had a friend when I was in my teens. He was just doing marijuana, and the whole group of guys, were doing marijuana. I didn't touch it, but they used to scrounge up 2 cent pieces when 2 cent pieces were around, and I think, oh my goodness, why are they so addicted to this? But this particular guy was smoking so much of it that he became schizophrenic, and he locked himself up in a bungalow, and he smashed his wife, and he smashed the whole place down. And I'm thinking, he's lost his mind, and I saw this happen. And sometimes you hear youth out there going, oh, it's only a bit of pot. They don't understand that only a bit of pot long term can trip you into schizophrenia. And apart from the other impacts that it has on your body physically, but when I saw him go through that, I thought, oh man, I'm never going to touch drugs, and I didn't. I went up to the age of 40, and then when somebody offers me a little glass pipe that was, you trust me, don't you? It'll just make you relax a bit. I didn't think it was a big deal, and it destroyed my health, it destroyed my life, and I'm blessed that I haven't. I didn't end up in jail, or I didn't end up killing or seriously hurting, physically hurting somebody. That some of those things you can't take back.
No, exactly. Once you've done them, you've got to deal with the consequences, like the old saying goes, you do the crime, you do the time. So that's it. That's the way it is, eh?
It must be a difficult job that you've got, dealing with the guys in rehab, and, them having to process and work through all of that emotion of stuff that they've been through. I can't imagine what that would be like, but, my hat goes off to you guys doing the work that you do there.
It's a really rewarding experience when you see some of them go on the straight and narrow and make something out of their lives,
That's
when
fantastic.
they reform.
Yeah. And so the people that work in that rehab, are they all lived experience?
The majority of them have, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes most of the difference, Peter. Correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I think that lived experience, you can't possibly explain to somebody and understand where they're going if you haven't actually been there.
No, there's a big difference between real life experience and textbook experience. Like when you've experienced it yourself, you really know because you've been there and done that, So
yeah,
rather than reading it out of a book, so to speak. But
so go on.
yeah, sorry.
I just wanted to
Yeah, go ahead.
know where you're at now. How long have you been clean now?
I gave up the speed and all other drugs in 97. Gave up
Well
basically everything in 97, but I still occasionally have a beer now and again. That's about it. I have touched ice since when I went through a really bad divorce. That was back in 2015, so I had a little relapse then, and I took it about, I don't know, 5 or 6 times, but since 2015 I haven't touched it at all. I've been clean since then and don't intend on touching the evil stuff ever again.
That's awesome, mate. Can you, that's a long period to go clean and then have a relapse, right? So that was like 15, 16, 17, 18 years of being clean and then having a relapse. Is that right?
Yeah.
What have you done different this time? It's a long time. It's like you think you're on the home stretch now. You've passed 10-year mark, and it's like that's it. I'm never going to go back to that lifestyle. What have you done different now, and maybe what can people at home that are in recovery, what can they put around them, or what can they do to help them not go there?
I think people that are in recovery and getting off it just have to admit to themselves that they have had an addiction, that it can lead to serious consequences like crime and even death, like premature death of themselves or
Yep.
serious crime against another person, that they're putting their loved ones through hell on earth, that their health's going to suffer in the long run no matter what because of all the crap that this stuff is cut with. Like, it's an absolutely terrible chemical, what's in it.
Yeah.
And they've just got to, embrace life and see that life is worth the living no matter what. Like, you only get one chance at this life, so you might as well make the most of it. And the drugs aren't going to do anything but tear you down and destroy you and your loved ones. So I think also hanging out with like people that have decent morals and that are involved in the scene, like get a good group of friends. I know it's easier said than done, but there are people out there that are good people and that you can associate with, whether that be through a Christian church or whatever. Like, you get involved with decent people that are going to support you, be there for you, and encourage you in the right way and not down the path of destruction,
That's it. And I was actually speaking to somebody that we've been working with for a while, and he was clean for a long time, and then he had a relapse. And he said to me today, I'm living in this house, and the guys are using, and I'm okay now, but it was hard. And you're setting yourself up for disaster. If you are in that environment, if you are around people that are using in a house, or friends, or, how do they say it, places, people and things, you've really got to be aware that you're stepping into the enemy's territory. You are at risk, if you're drinking excessively, to get drunk, your inhibitions are gone, you're putting yourself at risk. If you've got to look at what's your risk factor, and if you put yourself at risk, you're most probably going to fall and fall into it, and it's just going to destroy you, and it's going to destroy everything that you've built in your recovery. And we like to talk to people about putting a tripod system of support around them, and what that looks like, Peter, when you come out of rehab, is have yourself a buddy, have yourself somebody, a sponsor, a buddy, somebody that you can speak to when you're feeling weak, when you're feeling, life's just not working out on the outside. I've come out of rehab and it's hard, but you got somebody that you can chat to that can encourage you. There's meetings you can go to. There's, getting involved, like you said, in your local community church, in your Lions or Rotary Club. There's amazing people in those clubs that, want nothing but to help their community, and come around you. Some Christian motorcycle groups, they do an amazing job. The Chariots.
Yeah, I vouch for that too.
Yeah, they go out and feed the homeless and help people, the old ladies cross the road, and help things within the community. And I found in my early recovery, by helping others, I felt like I mattered. I felt like I was worth something, and very slowly, you start to rebuild your who you are again, and your values and your sense of worth. So yeah, getting a buddy and getting involved in some sort of group, and keeping your drug and alcohol counsellor, at arm's length. Just not too far away. Just keep going to your regular drug and alcohol counselling sessions to keep unpacking, and it's a lifelong journey in addiction, and it won't go away overnight. You're going to keep unpacking, you're going to keep working through stuff, because we're human beings, and we are addicts. So if you've been in addiction, you are an addict, whether you're addicted to drug and alcohol, or to Jesus like me, or to work, or helping people, or whatever. Let's channel that into a positive direction, and find what it is for you. If it's music, if it's helping other people, in the community. But it's always amazing to have something bigger than yourself, to be part of. So we really like to encourage people that are in recovery to put a tripod system of support around you. So again, I'll just go quickly: your buddy, your group meetings, and your AOD counsellor, your drug and alcohol counsellor. If you put that framework of support around you, and you look at your environment, your friends, where you're living, your risk factor, you're more than likely going to, even if you wobble, you're more than likely going to stay stable, because you've set it up. You've set yourself up. You haven't set yourself up for failure. So I really encourage that. And that tripod system of support has been put together by one of our drug and alcohol counsellors that runs our clinical support arm, George Patrici, and he from Optimal Health Group, and they've partnered up with Australian Anti-Ice Campaign, and they provide all the training and they provide all the clinical type of work. But George himself is an addict in recovery for over 30 years, and he's implemented this with his clients as a drug and alcohol counsellor year after year, and the ones that don't have it tend to be at risk more, so we really encourage that, guys. So if you're in recovery and you're watching at home, have a think about that. If you need some more information, please get in contact with us. We'd love to have a chat about what that looks like and how we can give you some resources to help you put that around yourself. And if you are that person that is in addiction and you don't want to end up in some of these journeys that Peter is sharing with us tonight, we encourage you to connect with us. We want to connect you with your resources in your local area and people that are running recovery programs like Peter that really want to help you, because they've been through it. They know the pain associated with that. So our number is up on the screen right now. It's 1-800-NO-TO-ICE, 1-800-NOTOICE. Give us a call or private message us. We'll be more than happy to have a chat with you and connect you to the services wherever your state is. You might be in Adelaide, Sydney, Melbourne, Cairns, WA. We've got team, people in our army, the AARC army, and part of our army and our team, part of the mission. They're out there wanting to help you. So please connect with us. So you can contact us off our webpage, www.australianantiicecampaign.org.au. You can have a look at the different programs that we run there as well. So Peter, we have to sign off. I want to keep talking to you because I really want to get to know a little bit more detail about your life and about the programs and stuff and how people can get help. But is there a number people can call in Adelaide if they want to connect with the recovery house that you run, that you work in there?
As I said, just go on the Aboriginal sobriety group and give them a call. They're in the city in Weymouth Street.
Awesome. So we'll
I'm not
try and
sure
find
of the number, but they'll be able to direct you if they can't help you.
We'll find the web address, guys, and we'll put it on the underneath this post. And if you're looking for some help and you're in Adelaide, please connect with these guys because they're doing an amazing job. And it comes from their heart. It comes from lived experience. It comes from being there, and I know the way out. Kind of same as AIC buddies do. Any last minute messages that you want to leave with the people out there? Some of these shows hit over 20,000 people. We do this to educate and raise awareness about the dangers of ice and other drugs. Peter, is there anything final that you want to leave with our followers out there? Some of which are families that have loved ones in addiction, and sometimes we have people that are using and they're contemplating change and they might watch our show. So if there's any last minute messages that you'd like to leave.
Yeah, I think the number one step that anybody has to face before they come to the conclusion that they've got an addiction and they need to do something about it is getting over denial. Like, no matter whether it's alcohol, drugs or whatever, there's always that denial. But once you actually admit you have got a problem, an addiction, and you face it face to face and know that you need help, that's the first step of recovery. All I can say to family members and loved ones who have got somebody that's addicted is don't give up, don't turn your back, keep loving them, even if you have to temporarily distance yourselves from them. You've got to be cruel to be kind sometimes, but just don't give up on them and keep sharing the love with them, because that's what each and every one of us need at the end of the day is love. It's a pretty sad world without it.
That is so true. When we do dual diagnosis training, George usually says, we come from two places in life. We're either acting out from a place of love or from a place of fear. And, generally when you're, going down that path, life in ice world specifically can be so messy, and it's lots of fear surrounding that and anger and all kinds of things, but it certainly isn't from a place of love. So they need people, if your family member is suffering from addiction, they need as much love as they can get. But I encourage you to to do some training and get some tools. On our webpage you will see there's something called SAMI Brief. We don't actually run it, Optimal Health Group do. It's a 2-hour training that you can embark on, and it shows you the cycle of addiction, the stages of change when somebody's contemplating recovery or getting out of that lifestyle, what a conversation looks like with your loved one about the cost versus benefits, and why, what can help them get their life back. So there's a lot of really good information there that you can, get some tools on, and it's on our webpage. It's called SAMI Brief, SAMHI, that's Substance Abuse and Mental Health Intervention, and you can click on that, and I think it's $45 if I'm not wrong, and it gives you 2-hour training. It gives you some tools to be able to have that conversation and help people around you, and understand what's going on in here, and how to address it, how to get your tools. So if you're that person, then just hop onto the webpage and do it. Just do it because you're going to need it. If it's not with your loved one now, it might be with your nephew, with your grandchild, with somebody in your community. Everybody's being impacted by this drug, and I just really encourage the community to get on board, get some tools to help people around you. The more the merrier. Peter, can I teach you our not even one symbol? It's like a bit of a rapper, okay? Okay,
Yep.
It goes like this. Not, even, once.
Not even once.
That's it. That's our message to you guys out there tonight. And if you need help, don't forget, call out, reach out. We're here to help you. Peter, thank you so much for joining us on the show and sharing all that information with us, and really helping us raise awareness about the dangers of ice and other drugs. And I really look forward to meeting you when we come to Adelaide.
Yeah, hopefully we will meet up, definitely. Look forward to it also.
Likewise, Peter. Thank you for joining us. God bless you. God bless you at home, and we look forward to seeing you next week, 7 p.m. Queensland time.
1, 2, 3.
Awesome.
Even
There we are.
Okay, one
Thank
more
you.
time. Just
Can Peter still
okay,
hear me?
enjoy the night and happy Christmas. See ya.
Can Peter still hear me?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Awesome. Thank you, Peter, so much.
No, you've gone quiet.